Not all love stories begin in chaos. Some begin in light, in a hallway that smells of old wood polish, in a noisy lecture hall, or outside a library, on an ordinary day that becomes unforgettable. That's where I saw Jonathan for the first time. I was packing my books into my bag. He passed by, walking fast, a little clumsy. He dropped a folder, and when I bent down to help him, our eyes met. He blushed, not just a polite smile. No, a real blush, awkward, sincere, almost childlike. And I think I smiled wider than I meant to. We exchanged a few words. About class, about the slow professor, about the terrible vending machine coffee. But in those ordinary words, there was something else, something suspended in the air. In the days that followed, I kept bumping into him, always at the right time, in the right place. A shy hello, a quick glance, then, slowly, the glances turned into sentences, the sentences into conversations, and the conversations into silences we no longer wanted to leave. I remember a rainy afternoon, sitting on a bench inside campus, him talking about his dreams, about building his own business, making his parents proud, and traveling, but never alone. And I listened, my head resting back, my heart slowly flipping over. Then one evening, outside the library, when it was a little cold and my hands were slightly trembling, he said, "Do you believe in destiny?" I laughed softly, and he added, "Because I think you were meant to be there that day when I dropped my folder." And right then, he asked for my number. His voice trembled a bit, and so did mine. When I gave it, a few days later, Marc entered my life. I met him at a student party, held at one of Jonathan's friends' apartment, one of those tiny places too small for the crowd, with plastic cups, loud music, and laughter bouncing off the walls. Jonathan held my hand as we walked in, proud, smiling, and he said, "Come on, I'll introduce you to my best friend." And there, Marc, tall, confident, dark t-shirt, fitted jeans, a shiny watch on his wrist, a smile like in a commercial, and that look, direct, intense, as if he was sizing me up, evaluating me silently. He shook my hand, gently, but for a little too long. Then he said, out of nowhere, "So you're the famous Élodie? Jonathan talks about you like he hit the jackpot." Everyone laughed, but in his voice, there was a sharp edge, something odd, charming, but aggressive. All evening, he stayed close, watching, too close. When I danced with Jonathan, I felt him behind me. When I sat down, he found excuses to sit nearby, and more than once, he whispered things to me, barely audible. "Careful with him, he falls hard. You're gonna break his heart. Or, you know you have dangerous eyes, right? You should warn people." He said it with a smile, but it wasn't innocent, and it was just the beginning. But true love doesn't get distracted. Between Jonathan and me, things moved fast, very fast. We moved in together at 23, graduated, took on odd jobs, shared struggles, laughed, argued, made up in the rain. Then one winter night, in a modest restaurant filled with memories, Jonathan got down on one knee, and I said yes, with tears in my eyes. The wedding was simple, intimate, surrounded by those we loved. And of course, Marc was the best man, smiling, emotional, almost perfect. But when he hugged me that day, he whispered softly in my ear, "You sure about this? Some guys would have made you way happier." I smiled, but I froze. It wasn't a game anymore. He'd been waiting for this moment, as if hoping I'd say no. Years went by. We got our first apartment, then a house. Jonathan started his company. I joined a marketing agency. We laughed, we lived, but Marc was always there, always present, always comfortable, always too close. And over time, his comments changed tone. "Haven't you gained a bit of weight? Jonathan just lets you eat anything, huh? Don't you want to try something else? You're only 27. Now's the time to have fun." And every time, I pushed back, calmly, then coldly, then harshly. Eventually, I told him, "Stop. You're disrespecting me, and you're betraying your friend." He looked at me with a cold smile and said, "One day you'll realize I was the right one, and by then, it'll be too late." That's when he began his plan. A slow, sly, calculated plan. He started planting seeds. He told Jonathan I was acting strange. that I was distant, that I smiled too much at other men, that I was messaging some coworker. Then he showed him fake texts, created with apps, doctored screenshots, steamy conversations between me, and a man I didn't even know. Jonathan changed. He withdrew. Less affection, less trust, more questions, more suspicion, and I didn't understand. I thought he was stressed, going through something. But in reality, Marc was poisoning our marriage, word by word, fake proof by fake proof. One day, Jonathan looked at me, his eyes filled with tears and anger. He said, "I want you to leave." I felt like my heart exploded. I begged. I screamed. I asked why. He wouldn't say. Marc had won. But I refused to be crushed. I dug. I hired an IT expert. I analyzed the metadata of the texts. I confronted the coworker I was accused of sleeping with. And slowly, the pieces came together. I planned my revenge. One evening, I invited Marc over. Jonathan was hidden. Everything was filmed, recorded. I made him believe I was finally ready to move on. Marc confessed it all. Everything. His plan, the lies, the fakes, and the twisted pleasure he took in breaking me. He said, "He hates you now. He'll never listen to you. He's mine." Jonathan stepped out. Silent. Marc froze. Tried to speak. But it was too late. The next day, Jonathan gathered all their mutual friends, family, and played the recording. Marc lost everything. Everything he thought he owned. Everything he thought he controlled. His job, first. The company where he once shined, where he felt untouchable, terminated his contract the moment the recording surfaced. His name, now tied to deceit and betrayal, no longer inspired trust. Then his friends, the ones who laughed with him at parties, who called him bro, cut all ties, one after another, not out of fear, but out of disgust. Betraying your best friend, destroying a couple, lying with a smile. No one wanted a man like that in their life. Even his own family couldn't look him in the eye. One day, his mother came to see me. She had tears in her eyes. She simply said, "I'm sorry. I must have failed somewhere." Marc left town shortly after. Rumor says he lives alone now, in a small northern city. Changed his name on social media. Avoids people. They say he drinks a lot, sleeps poorly, talks to himself. He ruined everything. For a woman he never had, and a friend he betrayed. As for us, Jonathan and I took time, months apart, painful glances, nights in separate rooms. But love isn't always fragile. When it's real, it can bend, twist, crack, but it doesn't break. We started talking again, walking again, laughing a little, then a lot. We retook a photo in front of the university library, just like in the beginning. And in that photo, there's no shadow anymore, only the two of us. But I've never forgotten. Not all friends are brothers. And sometimes, danger wears the same smile as loyalty.